Hey everybody, this is Moshe Fried and welcome back to another conversation. Yesterday, uh, we spoke about teachers coming back to school and the stress that they're under and everything that they've got to deal with. And I'm talking to teachers directly and what you need to do to take care of yourselves. You need to understand where you're holding. You need to have self-awareness of your emotional state and what you're capable of doing. Understand if you were traumatized by this and to what extent, and make sure that you really know what the expectations are, what you're getting involved in, and if you're able to do this, and what the possible challenges may be, what's expected of you by your students, what's expected of you by the parents, what's expected of you by your peers, what's expected of you by your administration. We went through all that yesterday, and you could check the replay of that. It's all posted online. It's also on YouTube. You could search for it on YouTube as well. So you can find it on Facebook, you can find it on YouTube. And I hope that that is useful for your own self-care, because it all starts with us. It all starts with us. And as well as we are, that's the foundation of what we can provide for others. If we're not doing well, we're very limited in what we can provide for others. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how to deal with your students, how to deal with your kids in the beginning of the school year, whether it's the first day or the first week or the first couple of weeks. You'll certainly notice a lot of stress in your students. Besides for your own stress that you're dealing with, getting used to it, kids are stressed out. A lot of kids are stressed out. And it's for many different reasons. Some of the reasons that we spoke about last time are relevant, are applicable to the children as well. Children have their own challenges, and children have their own ways of expressing their frustration. So it's important to address the social and emotional needs of children. And the problem is that, again, the teacher is tasked with so many different, tasks. It's not really in, you have to teach. You have to go through the curriculum. And yes, you are expected to do certain things outside of teaching and providing support, but it becomes tricky, and the boundaries of that are very, very tricky. So I want to just mention a few things that are important to keep in mind and hopefully provide some kind of a framework that is useful for teachers and how to talk to their children. Number one, what's important to realize is that when it comes to emotional well-being, it's an extremely personal, emotions are an extremely personal experience, okay? I experience my emotions deep within me. You looking at me won't necessarily know what's going on with me. And when you look across a room, it might look like everybody is doing well, but it's not necessarily so. You cannot tell when people are struggling emotionally. Sometimes you'll be able to tell by their behaviors, especially young children. And again, you could be teaching anywhere from K through 12. So there's going to be a very big difference with the way kindergarten, pre-1A, lower elementary school age, preschool age kids react to stress, and high school kids react to stress. There are differences, there are similarities. The important thing to realize when you know somebody, you could tell a difference in their behavior. So if you know that someone is typically very outgoing and suddenly they come in and they're very reserved, then you have that change in their behavior. You could take a guess that something's up, and you can call them aside and say, hey, I noticed that you're not yourself. What's up? But when you're meeting kids for the first time, which we are in the beginning of the year in many, many cases, you have no history to check against. You have nothing to go against. And it's always nice to speak to the teacher from the year before and get some kind of a background idea. And I know this is sometimes controversial because some teachers want to form their own opinions. But even to just get an idea, it's very, very challenging. It's very, very difficult. So you should never make assumptions of how somebody is doing emotionally. You never know. Okay, and this is something that as a therapist, when I deal with people's emotions, more on the table, that's what they come for. You never know. You never know how people are doing emotionally, especially when you don't really know them, when you're just getting to know them. Sometimes they're going to act really tough. They're going to act like they're doing really, really well. And it's really, a safety mechanism. They're really covering it. They're really hiding it. They're pretending that everything's fine and everything is really not fine. So what do you do? What do you do when you're coming into a class of 10, 15, 20, 30 kids, however many kids it is? You need to validate people. You need to let people know that it's important for them to realize that, coming back to school is hard this year. It's harder than ever before. And that if anybody is struggling in any kind of way, you invite for them to talk to you. You give them the opportunity. If they want to talk to you, they can. They can come over to you privately. They can share with you if they need any help with anything, if they're missing anything. Let them know that you are a source of support and you are available to them. Okay, and you need to make this clear to the whole class. Now, you might say in the beginning of the day or the beginning of the year, anybody that needs any help with anything, let me know. You may put that message out there and people are not going to take it. Okay, people do not take your initial invitation right away. And the reason for that is that they're skeptical, they're not sure. Again, we're dealing with a clean slate. We don't know these kids, we don't know what their backgrounds are, we don't know what their experience has been. There are a lot of kids who have been told, if you need anything, come to me. And then they needed something and they came to that adult and the adult did not deliver, and now they don't trust us. Okay, there are many, many kids that don't trust us. The first step that I have to accomplish, the first goal that I have with every single kid that I deal with is earning their trust from scratch. I expect that they're not going to trust me. A lot of them are very clear about that in the beginning. They tell me that they don't trust me. They tell me that they're not interested in coming. And my job is to win them over and to earn their trust. And it's important. Never, ever take the trust of children for granted. Don't expect that they're going to trust you just because you're the adult. It just doesn't work that way. And when you have those expectations, you're very often setting yourself up to only reinforce the reason why they don't trust you. It's a sad story, but I've heard it so many times from kids. They don't trust us. So you make the invitation, but you understand that they're not necessarily going to come forward. They're not necessarily going to trust us. So then the big question becomes, so how do we earn their trust, right? Here you are, a teacher of, let's say, 25 kids, and half of them don't trust you. You don't know which ones, right? So how are you going to earn their trust? The way you're going to earn their trust is by showing them that you get them. Okay, one of the ways that I work when I work one-on-one with kids, and we'll talk how that translates into the classroom overall, but the way I earn trust with kids is I tell them, you have a good reason not to trust me. Okay, you may have spoken to other people. If you don't trust me, that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I am good with earning your trust. Okay, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to earn your trust. I put that on the table right away. Kids see that there's a certain genuineness there. I'm being genuine with them. Sorry, the word just escaped me. And when you're real with them, when you're genuine with them, and you're even willing to be somewhat vulnerable with them, and again, I'm not talking about, they're never my therapist, okay? I've heard stories about that too, where sometimes in an effort to earn someone's trust, you want to become vulnerable and you become overly vulnerable. You're the teacher, you need to maintain your authoritative stature. So you have to be careful with that. But you just want to let them know that you validate them, you understand where they're coming from. And if they have a problem with me, right? If you have a problem with me, that's okay. I understand that, and we're going to work that out too. That's also part of the work that we need to do here, because we need to learn to trust each other. And the relationship between the student and the teacher is key. Anybody that knows me or anything that I'm about, this is what I bleed. If you cut me, this is what comes out. The teacher-student relationship is by far the most important establishment in the learning process, because if they trust you, they will open up to you, they will confide in you, they will work hard for you. It's a different ball game. If they don't trust you, they're turned off, and now it's an uphill battle. Now you got to start earning their trust back over again. So you've got to focus on that relationship, and you've got to let them know, again, in the beginning of the year, that this is going to be challenging, this is going to be difficult. The way you let them know that you get them is by telling them specific things about what they're struggling with. Okay, so you could say, look, we've just been through all these months. We were out of school, we had the summer, and now we're coming back to school for the first time. We don't even know how long we're going to be able to be in school this way. We may have to go back to remote learning like we did last year. We all have to wear masks. Masks are annoying. Social distancing is annoying. All these things that we need to do are very frustrating and very annoying. How many people are frustrated by this? How many people find this to be really, really annoying? By a raise of hands. You're letting them know that you get them, okay? You can ask that, you can discuss, what was it like? You can have some time to talk about what was it like during quarantine? What was it like during remote learning? What was good about it? What was bad about it? Spend some time on this. Now, one teacher recently approached me and said, I've got to cover this. How do I balance my time between dealing with the social and emotional stuff and dealing with the academic stuff? And it's an excellent question, because it's hard to know. But what's important to keep in mind is that The social and emotional stuff is the foundation. Again, just like your relationship, it's the foundation. It's worthwhile. It's a worthwhile investment to spend at least a week or two in the beginning of the year just getting the kids to trust you, to feel to feel comfortable with you, that they can confide in you. Okay, now some schools have guidance counselors, social workers, and school psychologists that are meant to deal with this stuff. And that's great if they do, but sometimes the kids are going to want to confide in you rather than in the other people, and you have to know how to balance that out. So, so when you're coming in the beginning of the year, it's worthwhile to spend some time at the beginning of the day talking about how difficult it's been. Let's talk about it. Who here struggled? Did anybody, and again, people may not want to share. People don't have to share if they don't want to, but let them know that you're open to it. Let them know they can come to you privately. And if you can, try to make time for at least one or two kids a day. And over a couple of weeks, you'll get to everybody and let them know that, they could be struggling in ways that you didn't mention. If there's anything that they want you to mention to the class anonymously, you're happy to bring up a discussion in the class about this for them. If they don't want to come forward, they can come to you. They identify the other resources in the school. And at the end of the day, you can do a little bit of a debriefing and see how that goes after a week or so of spending, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning of the day and 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day. See where that brings you, see what happens with that. If you have any questions or want more specific guidance, you can leave them in the comments down below. You can message me privately and ask me, and I'm happy to help as long as, again, it doesn't get too overwhelming. But this is something that I think is important for teachers to bring up with their students in the beginning of the year. This is a year like we've never seen before, and we don't even know what's coming. So let's stick together, let's work together, let's support each other, and hopefully it will be a really, really great year. Thanks so much for spending some time with me, and we'll see you next time. Bye.